After the amazing responses to my last two Elder Scrolls 6 videos, today we're going to be diving into some of the comments that you left on these videos and what your thoughts are on what Bethesda needs to do for Elder Scrolls 6. You guys had some very interesting ideas, and it's clear that you have strong opinions on where the series should go. So today, hopefully, we're going to be giving Bethesda a little bit of a blueprint that they could follow to please a lot of the fanbase. Before we start, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and let's get into the video. For the comments, I've made sure to pick some interesting ones. Some of these comments are what people would like to see added to Elder Scrolls 6, and others are just people's general experience of Bethesda games. I've also added some comments criticising me in my opinion, so we're going to go through a few of those as well today. First up, Loch Mess Nomster, which is a bit of a mouthful, shared this thought. I'm a bit biased as a Bethesda fan, but literally with Elder Scrolls 6, they just have to make Skyrim again just look better, and with most of the top downloaded mods pre-built in. I have hope because this is more so their bread and butter. Now I suppose I can see where you're coming from. Skyrim was a massive hit, and for many it is still the gold standard when it comes to these open world RPGs. The modding community in particular has kept the game alive for a long while now. And by a long while, I mean like over a decade. They've been adding everything from graphical overhauls to entire new quest lines, so it makes sense that fans would want to see some of these mods sort of integrated into Elder Scrolls 6. But here is the thing, if Bethesda just recreates Skyrim with better graphics and built-in mods, I just really think that's lazy. I think a lot of us are actually looking for more than an upgraded version of the game we've already played, so with Elder Scrolls 6, I think it definitely has an opportunity to not just repeat Skyrim's success, but to build on it. Incorporate new mechanics, push the boundaries of storytelling, and deliver something fresh. Using top mods as inspiration, sure, but it can't stop there. The next comment I picked was from Arcantos Arcane, who made a strong point about storytelling. Bethesda needs better writing. The Elder Scrolls universe is fascinating, my favourite in all of fiction, but the dialogues in the game are dull and safe in a bad way. We need something more specific and original because they have the world and the tools to create a GOAT story. I've seen this sentiment made by a lot of fans, and I couldn't agree more. The Elder Scrolls universe is rich with lore, history, and even some complex characters. But obviously, we all know that lately the storytelling is just too generic. In the comment, they make the point that it often boils down to you being the chosen hero who must save the world, and we've definitely seen this 1,000 times before. What Bethesda really needs is a more mature and layered approach to their writing, something that makes the players feel invested in the world's political, cultural, and personal conflicts. As said in the comment, our big buddy Todd is a massive fan of games like GTA, Cyberpunk, and even Red Dead, so why is he not taking inspiration from these games? All of those games I just mentioned don't just have great stories, they had characters with actual complex motivations and believable relationships. That is what Elder Scrolls 6 really needs to aim for. It's time to evolve past the chosen one trope and craft something with real narrative depth. Our next comment from Dr. Egon shared some pretty strong opinions actually. Fire Emil Pagliarulo and hire some real writers and quest designers. That would solve a lot of problems at Bethesda. Now this comment takes a direct shot at Emil, Bethesda's lead director and writer for many years now. Emil has been a big part of the studio's success, but it's true that the quality of writing has felt like it's declined, and some of the comments he's made in particular are really mind-boggling. This is the same person who thinks people will rip books up, turn them into paper planes because they want to build shacks instead, but I'm sure you're all very well aware of him and what he has said. Back in Morrowind, the quests were more unique, complex, and often morally grey. Since then, I would say things have become a lot more streamlined, more predictable, and frankly a bit less engaging. Is firing Emil the solution? I'm not really sure if it's that simple, and I don't think it's my place to really comment on firing someone. Sure, he has ideologies and ways of thinking I don't necessarily agree with, but I don't really think it's best I get into a man losing his job over this. But what is clear is that Bethesda needs to reimagine how they approach writing and quest design. They need to bring in writers who aren't afraid to take risks, people who actually can craft stories that can make us feel a little bit more emotion. Next we have Ascalon of Vera, I hope I said that right, and he brings up an interesting point. We, the customers in all capital, must remind Bethesda of who they work for. A pretty simple but a powerful statement. In an age of massive multi-million-dollar games, it's easy for these companies to lose sight of the people who are actually playing the game. We are the ones investing our time, money, and passion into these worlds, and it's up to Bethesda to deliver something worthy of that investment. Too often, it does feel like developers can get caught up in making decisions based on what's easiest or most profitable, rather than what the players actually want. The key for Elder Scrolls 6 is just for Bethesda to listen to the fans, whether it's through feedback forums, social media, or even videos like this, as crazy as it sounds. I don't think they'll listen to me, but who knows. At the end of the day, the fans really know what they want, and Bethesda should be paying close attention. Next up we have Heather Harrison, and he shared a very detailed comment, which I'm not going to read all of, but if you want to take a pause and read it, then you can. I recently started at Morrowind. It was a reminder that the series has been moving in directions I don't particularly like since then. I prefer Morrowind's combat system over the action combat that was introduced in Oblivion. In Bethesda's games, starting with Oblivion, combat is just a nuisance to get over with as quickly as possible. Combat in the Elder Scrolls series seems like a bit of a controversial topic. What I think we can say in regards to combat is that we do not want something that we've already seen in the previous games, no matter which style of combat you like. Bethesda has a huge opportunity with Elder Scrolls 6 to redefine the entire combat system. Whether they lean towards action style or more stat-based mechanics, it has to feel smooth and rewarding. I'd love to see a combat system that gives players multiple ways to approach a fight, whether through stealth, magic, range attacks, or brute force, without any of it feeling like a chore. Next, we have Daniel up with a comment about the theme of Elder Scrolls. It needs to keep with that dark colour palette. I love how dungeons, vampire dens, and towns in general look. It's very spooky. I completely agree with this, Daniel. The dark, gritty aesthetic of Elder Scrolls games is one of the series' most defining traits. There's a real sense of danger when you explore a vampire den or a forgotten ruin in Skyrim, for example. That spooky atmospheric tension should definitely be carried into Elder Scrolls 6. I think they're making a huge mistake if they don't. In fact, I think they could take it even further using lighting and sound design to make those moments just feel even more intense. Imagine walking into a pitch black dungeon and hearing faint whispers or the skittering of creatures that you can't quite see. These are just simple things that could really elevate the immersion to new heights and just make every exploration feel like an adventure filled with suspense and more mystery. So we've got a bit of a joint comment here. Both these guys have thrown a bit of shade at Starfield here. First Bethesda game I will not be pre-purchasing. Starfield has made me learn my lesson. Starfield was shockingly bad and boring. They will not be tricking me again. I think both of you guys right here are 100% justified in what you are saying, and I can totally understand why you would not pre-purchase this game. Bethesda's reputation has taken a huge hit with Starfield, and that's going to have a lasting impact on how fans approach the Elder Scrolls 6, which is just absolutely insane to me. It is such a shame that one of the most hyped up games of all time is not going to be getting pre-purchased because of how they failed in a different genre. But Bethesda only have themselves to blame. Lots of us were very excited for Starfield to only find that it didn't live up to the expectations, with the exploration feeling hollow, the mechanics were clunky, and the story just didn't really grab us. Bethesda really needs to knock it out of the park with Elder Scrolls 6 to just regain the fans' trust. Keeping on the topic of Starfield, Calamity has an interesting comment saying he wishes Bethesda never made Starfield and just focused on making the next Elder Scrolls game. Now, I have an interesting take on this. I think that new IPs like Starfield are important for any studio to just try branch out creatively. I can't really criticize them for that. But maybe Starfield was what we needed Bethesda to go through in order to create a great game. Maybe they needed this failure in Starfield just to wake them up a little bit. Maybe in a few years' time, crazy as it sounds, we will be saying that Starfield saved Bethesda, because would you rather Starfield be bad or Elder Scrolls 6 be bad? Ollie No left a interesting comment saying, what do we exactly expect? A working game with no significant bugs, good mechanics, balance, up-to-date graphics, a compelling narrative, and the feeling that we get good value for our money. And Ollie, I think you really have hit the nail on the head here. I think this is what all of us really expect from Elder Scrolls 6, and it's what we should be getting. If anything, right here, this is the bare minimum, and yet it's something we actually have to come up and question with the recent Bethesda releases, which is just crazy. We want a game that actually works. Like I previously said to numerous comments, I just think the most important part is a narrative that pulls us in and characters that really do feel real. I think the graphics need to be on par with other modern titles that are going to be around the same price point, and I think it's really worrying that we actually have to voice our opinion on a matter like this. So we have the first slander comment of the day. I think this is slander, I'm not quite sure. Oh yeah, thank you Streamliner. We won't have potions and scrolls in the Elder Scrolls 6 now, specifically because of you. Sorry to put on a quirky little voice, that's just generally how I read it in my head. What I meant by the streamlining aspect was just a better in-game looking menu. Elden Ring is the perfect example I could give you. I think the menus are a small thing but make a huge difference, and Bethesda's UIs have always been a little functional at best if you ask me. I think in the modern gaming world that we are currently living in, players should expect a little bit more. So by streamlining, what I meant was streamline the game menus and just make them a little bit more easy on the eye. And for our final comment of the day, Wasted Pot needs to take this to a publisher because I am definitely not going to be reading all of this. That is actually going to end the video. If you guys want to be featured in maybe a part 2 of something like this, then make sure to drop your opinions in the comments and I could definitely get some of you featured. These are just some of the very few incredible thoughts and comments that all of you have shared on my Bethesda videos, so I'm really appreciative of that and I'm glad you had so many opinions and you enjoyed them. Make sure to let me know if you prefer this kind of content as well, as it's something new for the channel I've not really done before because I've not actually had the amount of comments and opinions to create something like this. We're also nearing 400 subscribers right now, which is really great, and I thank every single one of you who have subscribed and contributed to the channel. So if you have enjoyed this video or any of the previous videos on the channel, please consider subscribing, as you can expect more videos like this to come in the very near future. As well as that, I'm always open to new content ideas and anything that you guys want to see covered. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed the video and have a great rest of your day.